close your eyes. Let's spend a few moments noticing. Noticing the parts of your body that are touching the earth. Noticing your tall, strong spine and feeling it extend up toward the ceiling. Noticing whether it feels better to have your palms resting up toward the ceiling or turned down so that your palms are facing your knees in your lap. Either way. And then noticing your breath. How would you describe it? Is it shallow or deep this evening? Does any part of your chest or belly feel tight, or is the breath coming easily? Is a lot of it happening in your belly or the chest or a little of both? Spend a few moments checking in with your body, and if you find any discomfort, go ahead and take care of it. Switching positions or giving yourself a little movement. See how you feel this evening. Head, shoulders, knees and toe, just scanning from top to bottom. What information does your body have to tell you about how you feel? And then lastly, check in with your mind. Watch your thoughts go by for a few moments. No need to do anything about them, just seeing what the subject matter is. You find any emotions there under the surface as well. How would you describe your mood? How do you feel? Alright, now that we've spent a few moments seeing how we feel, let's see how it changes over the course of our yoga practice. So let's start off with a little bit of a breathing exercise. Let's do some alternate nostril breathing. So taking your peace fingers, zipping them together, they're going to rest there in your third eye space, and then your thumb and your ring finger are going to pinch off either nostril back and forth. So big inhale through both nostrils. Exhale, pinch off that right nostril, exhale out the left. Inhale back in through the left. When your lungs are full, that's when you're switching. So pinching off the left nostril so you can exhale out the right. Inhaling back in through the right. Switching so that you're exhaling out the left. Inhaling back in through the left. Back and forth at your own pace, switching when the lungs are full. If one side feels stuffy, don't be afraid to breathe really big to overcompensate for that. And then just watch how it might change over time. Maybe after a while you find you feel a little bit more balanced. Both in the breath and maybe if you're lucky in the mind a little bit as well. All right, last one. And release. So, sitting up tall, let's start to move a little bit, kind of shimmy back and forth, see what your spine feels like. Let's settle in on one side. I'm reaching across with my right hand. Got a little lift in my chest, twisting over here to the left. Try it the other way. Hands back on the knees, round your spine, tuck your chin. Couple of cat-cows, bring the chest forward, look up, back and forth. So from a tall spine, let's hinge out over the hips a little bit. So I've got my little temple fingers happening. I'm going to walk myself out. And then you can decide if you want to stay up high, you can. And I like to kind of drag my fingers toward myself and really lengthen the spine. Or if it's all the same to you, you can round down toward the floor and feel heavy and hang. Either way is a viable option. So settle in, 3 breaths. Help yourself back up. Let's switch out the cross on your legs so the other legs on top are in front. Tall spine. Walking out and either staying up high and maybe pulling with the fingers or draping down low. Help yourself back up. So let's open up the side body a little bit. Right hand down on the earth, reach up and over with the left. And try it the other way. Still breathing. Let it go. So let's come into legs up the wall and then we'll add some things to it. First, some stretches here in the beginning and then we'll settle into just the held version of legs up the wall. So come close to your wall. One hip's in there close. You're going to lie back. Let the legs swing up overhead. feet resting up against the wall. So let the heels slide apart, find a little opening in the inner thighs. If you want to, you can place your hands there just above the knees, add a little pressure, a little weight. Help the legs come back together. Cross the right leg over so that the ankle bone's resting there on the left thigh. Flex the right foot and then let that left heel slide down the wall just a little bit until you feel stretch over here in your right hip. Back on out of that, switch the legs. Release. Just let the legs rest up against the wall. If you have a sandbag or something heavy you can put on the feet, that might be nice. Or if you want to slide something under your hips, you can put the feet on the wall, lift the hips up. Slide a folded up blanket or pillow or whatever you got handy underneath. And then replace your hips, replace the legs up against the wall. Find a comfortable position for the hands. Maybe they feel nice, tucked in close, resting on the belly, or maybe a subtle stretch would feel good, taking them into a goalpost shape or reaching them up overhead. Just explore and find a nice option. As you settle in here, I'll offer up a little visual that you can explore. Imagine that your body is a tree. So there by the torso, where your hips are hitting the ground and where your back is lying on the ground. Feel roots start to develop, digging down into the earth. The deeper and wider they go, the stronger and more supported you feel. You have this deep, invisible network of strength that's available to you. It's springtime. Notice the warmth in the soil. Notice the nourishment of all that rain. Feel that your roots are drawing this nourishment, this energy from the sun and rain and soil up and drawing it into your body, leaving you feeling relaxed and refreshed. Allow your attention to shift back towards your legs, which in our tree visual are your trunk. And feel how strong they are there at the roots, the base, closest to the floor. Imagine that strength rising and extending up through your legs, up as you reach toward the sky with your toes. You're so confident in this network, this strength, that it comes totally natural for you to be able to branch off in all directions, exploring the air, exploring the sky. Allowing your branches to crisscross and meander and become beautiful. You're shooting off leaves, little flowers in all directions. As your branches reach out, feeling, interacting with the breeze, a nice wind, perfect temperature in the air. It's almost like you're dancing, moving, interacting with the world around you. So, I'm going to ease our way out of this. Let your little tree, anything that's left of your tree imagery, fade to black. Move your arms, move your legs. If you've got anything on your feet or under your hips, go ahead and remove it. So we're going to scooch, and depending on how sticky your mat is, that might be a little difficult, but give it your best shot. We're going to scooch back toward the middle of the room, away from the wall, but stop when your knees are right above your hips and the feet are still pressing into the wall. I'm going to do a couple of wall cat-cows here. So, pressing the back into the floor, activating the abs, that's cat in this version. And then peeling the back up off the floor, belly goes up toward the sky, that's cow. Back and forth a couple of times. Just something gentle. It should just feel like a nice little massage for your back. That's our only goal. One more. And then release. Let your feet slide on down to the floor. If you can, wiggle just a little bit further away from the wall until you can't feel it with your feet anymore. Arms out to a T. We're going to windshield wiper the legs back and forth. Just see how it feels. Go ahead, next time the legs are over on the right, go ahead and stay there and roll on over to your right side. Grab a pillow or several towels or blankets, whatever you've got, something that you can give a little hug to over here. I'm going to have a pillow and a towel underneath my head so that my neck is nice and neutral. And then I've got this left knee bent, resting on this pillow. This pillow happens to be big enough that I can kind of hug it a little bit too. That might feel nice. This is our side lying Shavasana. Settling in. If you find that your knee is not quite at hip height, that can be a little uncomfortable, so maybe pad up a little higher. I think that's what I'm going to do. Add a second pillow. Settling in. So if you're happy where you're at, you can stay right there. Or you have the option to turn this into a little bit of a twist. Kind of scoot your body over to the right a little bit, and then open the chest up to the sky. Try to make sure your neck is still neutral. What's neutral on your side might not be quite comfortable when you're on your back. You might need to reduce things down a little bit. And let it open up. So sometimes I kind of move this left shoulder around a little bit. And then let its weight drag me a little bit closer toward the earth until I can settle in. If this left leg kind of pops up off the props, don't be afraid to stick another prop underneath there so that it remains in that sense of a grounded feeling. Something to press into. I'm going to head out of this on over to the other side. So start by rolling over to the right once more so you're facing your legs. Go ahead and straighten the body out. And then roll over onto your back. Let's take a pause here in just a neutral flat back before we go to the other side. You can have the knees bent or the legs extended, either way. Go ahead and move your props over here to the left. Roll over onto your left side. Comfortable in your neck once more. You might have to go up to a higher stack of props. Take that right knee, bend it, stack it so that the knee is close to hip height. Settle in. We'll spend half the time here, and then I'll give you the option to open up into that twist if you want. If you want to stay right where you're at, you can. If you want to open into the twist, move yourself over to the left a little bit. Roll onto your back. Maybe consider reducing the props that are under your neck. Possibly increasing the props that are under your leg. If it takes your spine a little bit to open up, consider circling that right arm around. Breathing. Allowing the body to gently feel a little bit more heavy. Let it be supported by the props and the strength of the earth beneath you. Here we go. Roll on back over to face your legs. Roll on to the back. Nice flat neutral spine for a few breaths. When you're ready, we're going to go into a little bit of a back bend next. So if you've got enough props handy to do so without sitting back up, that can be a nice touch. Don't have to move all that much. But if you need to sit back up and set up, that's fine. Just take a couple of pillows. Slide them underneath your hips, so feet on the mat, knees bent, press the hips up, slide props underneath until you feel you're high enough up to get a little bit of back bend action. Maybe one more for me. starting off here with the knees bent. You can take your arms up overhead and reach, or leave them in a cactus shape if that feels good, or keep them more neutral down near your hips. Let's breathe and see how this feels for a few moments, and then we'll explore some options. Maybe if all of this feels good, so far so good, you can play around with extending one leg at a time. 3 or 4 breaths with the right leg extended. And 3 or 4 breaths with the left leg extended. And then if all of that goes well, maybe both legs extended out. If that puts too much pressure on your low back, then just go back to a bent knee or 2 bent knees. And then one more option from bent knees, hugging both knees into the chest, hanging onto that right shin, let that left foot go back down to the earth, and then slowly with the heel dragging, see about extending that left leg. Again, if it doesn't feel good, pick one of the previous options that did, and hang out there. You're with me in this hug knee position. Let's switch it to the other side. Slide that left leg in, hug it in. Hang on to the left shin this time. Let the right heel drop down to the earth, and then slowly drag the heel while you extend that right leg. Slide that right leg on back in, hug the knees into the chest. Feet back on the earth, remove your props. Come down to a neutral spine. When you're ready, we're going to make our way up to seated for just a moment to set up. So roll over to one side. Help yourself up. Whew, I'm asleep. Okay. Let's set up for child's pose next. So what might be good here is something across the middle of the mat just so your knees don't have to press into something quite so hard. I've got a towel that I'm going to put in the middle. And then you can either stack up a bunch of pillows, or I'm going to make a layer of books with a pillow on top. And I think I'm going to make one that's kind of neutral tonight, but you can always kind of put this a little bit on a ramp to where the higher side is away from you. And of course, if you have blocks, you can use those. You don't have to use books. So, your pillow comes on top. Open your knees so that they're a little bit wider than the base of whatever you're working with. And then nice, long spine. Extend yourself out. Got my toes touching. I'm letting my knees spread as wide as they need to in order to feel comfortable. I'm going to start off looking over this left shoulder, and I'll tell you when we've been in the pose for half the time so that you can switch to the other side. Find a comfortable position for the hands. Sometimes, to me, palms down, pressing into the mat feels a little bit too active, so I find a way to either hug the props or let my palms rest up towards the sky. right shoulder. So slide your hands back so that they're underneath your shoulders. Press yourself up. And make your way out of the pose. So we've come to our final pose of the evening. You can leave yourself in this setup and take a queen's pose. If you do that, go ahead and switch to more of a ramp style where the side that's furthest away from you is higher off the ground. I think this is how I'll end up my class this evening, but if you want to come flat on your back or with some props into a classic corpse pose, that might be nice too. For me, I'm going to have my ramp. I'm going to have a couple of pillows handy to slide behind my knees. I've got an eye pillow that I'm going to put on my face. And a blanket might be nice too if you have one handy. So my bottom's really close to the base of this ramp. I'm going to lie back. I'm going to make sure my head feels nice and neutral. Mine feels good, but if my chin was really tilted up toward the sky, I would roll up a towel or a blanket or something and put it underneath my head so that my chin was tucked down a little bit more. So I've got my knees bent so that I can slide my props underneath. A couple of pillows. I'm going to extend my legs if I wanted to. Actually, I think I will. I'm going to bring my feet together so that my knees kind of splay apart for a butterfly position. And then I'm going to bring the backs of my hands to the earth my palms up in that receptive position up toward the sky. So this is our final hold for the evening. I'll talk you through a little guided meditation while you're here in the beginning, and then I'll be quiet toward the end so that you can enjoy your meditation. Allowing yourself to feel settled once more. Visiting those parts of yourself, of your interior landscape that we had explored in the beginning. What's your breath feel like? How's the body? What's the mind up to? This evening for the meditation, I'm going to offer up an exploration of the concept of balance, which harkens back to that alternate nostril breathing that we did in the beginning. So to start off with, I'd like you to pick two primary colors, a hot one and a cool one, that mix together to make a color that you like. So, for example, red and blue to make purple. And start to imagine using that red or the warm color that you've chosen. All of the aspects of your life that you think are fiery and hot. So everything from when you feel really energetic, if that's in the morning, in the bright sunlight, when you're going around getting things done. Maybe when you're doing your exercise or you're feeling really powerful in your job or your hobbies. Or even times when you're hot and fiery in the sense that you're angry or forceful, standing up for yourself, speaking your mind. What other aspects of your personality to your torso? The leg on that side of your body, to each toe. So letting that go, and ask you to bring to mind the cool color that you picked out, maybe a blue. And start to think of all the aspects of your life or the routines in your day that are associated with this cool feeling. Whether it's when things start to slow down in the evening, Sitting on a porch at dusk, feeling a cool breeze in the air as the earth slips toward night. Looking up at the moon. Imagining times in your life when you take in the sweetness of rest, sleep, restoration. When instead of being forceful and fiery, instead you're soft and gentle. Instead of speaking your mind, you're a listening ear, or someone who is patient and waits for the right action to arise. What else comes to mind when you think of coolness, gentleness, and the role it plays in your life? So take that other side of your body, imagine yourself breathing in this cool color in through your nostril. And then it drifts all throughout that side of the body, down your arm, to each fingertip, into your face, in your torso, leg, to the tip of each toe. Start to notice that something is magical happening there in the middle. The two colors start to mix together, creating that magical purple or whatever color you've chosen. That sense of balance. So instead of judging ourselves for times when we were too fiery or times when we felt we were too cool, instead, feeling gratitude and acknowledgement for the balance that brings into our lives. There are times to be hot and there are times to be cold, just as there is a morning and just as there is an evening. So enjoy. Let that color drift all throughout your body, this balanced color that represents both sides of you, both aspects. And just enjoy it for as long as you'd like. And when the image no longer serves you, simply allow it to fade to black. So go ahead and start to breathe a little bit more deeply. Move your fingers and toes. Wrists and ankles. Change the position of your arms and legs. Stretch. And then from whatever position you're in, think about how you might most comfortably, most gently return to a seat. One big inhale to finish things off together. Arms go up toward the sky, palms touch. Exhale to the heart.